What's up, guys? On this episode of Barbells and Banter, I give you guys a bit of a reflection on my weekend away with my wife. We talk about some pros and cons to operating cafes in rural areas. We also go in the weeds and start talking about training, as you know, Ben and I love to do, talking about training to failure, some of the pitfalls with that, when it's applicable. And then we also talk about things like training program length, how long they should be, and just some of the considerations. If you are on Spotify, give us a follow. If you're on YouTube, do the thing, like, share, sub, get it out to people. We want to reach as many people as we can, just like yourself. All right, enjoy the episode. We'll let Voldemort talk about it next week.
I hope that's the intro.
I didn't actually get to do too much research in this one. I wanted to do I want to have a segment of dumb shit that happens in the world, for a week, but I just didn't get around to it this week.
Too busy.
Just with going away and
just living your best life.
Oh, yeah. Living my best life. 2 weeks.
Posted nudes. Sun in your arsehole.
I'll tell you what. They got way too much traction. We'll talk about the other podcasts. So this is the cheat code. Mm-hmm. That was actually pretty funny.
Being nude on the internet.
It was a joke, obviously, but doing it.
So context, what was the caption?
I ripped on some fucking morning routine thing.
Yeah.
Said that I adopted naked sun gazing. Caffeinated naked sun gazing or some shit.
And then it was the comments that everyone was like, you gotta get your gooch out, right?
Yeah, well, they said something about perennium.
Yes. Yeah,
what was
sun
it?
exposure.
Sun gazing or some shit. I don't know. So I think that's where you expose your ass to the sun.
It's basically laying on your back and holding your ankles.
Yeah.
Facing the sun.
Correct. Yeah. So I didn't know that was what that was.
Huberman's make sure you get direct sunlight on your eyes.
This is the other eye.
Also there.
Yeah.
Apparently is effective.
Yeah, wow. Well, I looked up the perceived benefits of it. It's all bullshit.
Of course.
It's got to be.
Of course.
But yeah, so the making of the photo was quite challenging because I had to pick the right time of the day. No one was around. Obviously, it wasn't the most...
Did Steph take it?
Yeah. It wasn't the most private
area.
But I was like, fuck it. They see me naked.
If you look, you look.
Yeah, so it's that person saw you. I'm like, fuck, good on him.
Yeah.
I'll send him an invoice. It actually wasn't that chilly, to be fair.
Yeah,
down there. Yeah, it's way colder in Melbourne
than
it is down Great Ocean Road.
It's all winds dependent down there.
Yeah.
When the wind picks up down there, it's fucking cold.
Yeah, agreed. But yeah. But yeah.
Good trip though.
It was. Where we stayed was mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was top notch. It's like a nice little cottage on the cliff seeing the water, not 360, but 180 degree view of just ocean. How you were I was so Ben stares at mountains and gets this. I'm like, I stare at water and I get this.
Yeah, I get the same from water too, to be fair.
Yeah, just watching the waves, man, just kind of just, coming up to the sand and stuff. I was like, I could literally sit here all fucking day.
Yeah.
It was so awesome, man. And when you were sleeping, you could just hear it.
Yeah.
The second night was a bit wild weather-wise, so it wasn't as good. It was a bit noisy. But the first night, it was just really nice night. And it was just white noise the whole time.
So interesting. We had a monster storm last week, maybe last weekend. Fucking hammered down. But it's weird how when you're in the mountain, you're like, oh, the mountain's doing mountain things.
Yeah.
And when you're in the city, you're like, fuck off, rain.
Yeah,
It's such a different... It's a weird...
It's just one's nature and the other one's this is inconvenient.
Yeah, yeah. And even the noise thing, we have a tin roof. So when it rains, obviously it's pretty loud and we're just like, oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
Because you just get in the zone of that it's cool. I don't know.
Has it ever been raining that hard that it's annoying though?
When we first moved in, it would wake you up and stuff because we weren't used to it.
Yeah.
We could sleep through car lights shining in our bedroom window and shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, the wind and the tin roof makes a bit of a racket.
How were my children, Tam? Well behaved?
They were excellent both nights.
It's good.
And then on the second night, Mav made a reappearance on the bed.
Yeah.
Cleo's like, who's this fucking intruder?
Yeah, so she told him fuck off.
So he landed on my chest and she's like, who's this? And she landed on my chest.
Oh, really?
And then they chilled out.
Yeah.
And then Mav crawled on top of my head.
Yeah. That's my fault, man.
So I was like, all right, now I'm here.
Yeah.
And then Cleo's like, all right, it's all right. And she lays down her head on my chest.
Yeah.
So I just got 2 dogs.
Yeah.
That's the best. That sounds amazing.
They compete. Cleo is a very dominant dog.
Yeah.
And then So he won't go anywhere near her on the bed once she's gotten upset.
Yeah.
So that's when he goes up to the top of the bed. And then, so what Cleo then does is goes, no, he's mine. So she'll just put her head on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. That's the only affection you'll ever get from her.
Yeah.
And that'll happen at 3 a.m. and they'll fight each other.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was at like 2.
Yeah, fucking drives me nuts. I've lost so many years off my life, just dogs fighting in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, 1 hours in the morning.
By the way, the big dog's here again in a week's time. For a week, just so you know.
A week?
Yeah.
Not allowed.
Yeah.
Wowzers.
Just got to stay here.
But yeah, the weekend was good. It was relaxing. There wasn't a lot of... It kind of went a bit too quickly. You know, you say it all the time, but like the 2 days was good. It would have been nice to have one more.
Yeah.
But it was definitely valuable. I feel... It's funny, I went home and unpacked my stuff and then jumped on the computer.
To work?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I had ideas and I just felt refreshed. So
That's good.
I think it's a bit easier for us to organise to get the dogs looked after for a couple of days than like something like a week or 2 weeks. Like we do want to do like... We're going to try and orchestrate like a big trip next year, I think. 4 weeks, maybe even 2 weeks. Just go to Greece and come home, something like that.
Yeah.
But I think until then, we have to do more kind of weekends. I think it's just more realistic.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet. You know, like even I've traveled overseas for like a week just to watch like 2 soccer games.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and like what did we do? We went to LA and San Francisco for like 8 days.
Yeah.
To watch NBA. Because if you do the whole like,
It's gotta be a
I'm
month.
I'm not going to go unless it's a month.
Yeah.
You just never
You
get
never
to
do it.
experience, you know, those things. So I think I've got to take the same
Yeah.
kind of notion with the weekends away and stuff. It was good. Like Steph and I had a great time, obviously celebrating our anniversary, which we've been talking about for ages.
Yeah.
And then, it was just good. It was good for us.
Yeah.
You know, we're so busy with work and so distracted, stressed with work, like she is as well. Like it's kind of nice to see her relaxed.
Down properly.
Yeah, we were both relaxed and just more present with each other and shit. Like still do the same stuff, I guess, just because you're less stressed, you just like have a better kind of like vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. And she came back and she was like, I feel really relaxed. And I was like, well, that's really important because I guess like I'm just used to being a stress mess. But like when the both of us are,
Yeah.
it's like
tough.
fucking 2 people just, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like 2 babies trying to fucking operate in a house, just like fucking crashing shit, bumping heads and,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. So it was good to see her relaxed and stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always relaxing.
What happened?
Well, Steph's not the most confident driver. She's not the most confident passenger either. And she's less confident as a passenger than she is as a driver. And the only way into the Wye River... So we stayed in the Wye River for everyone that asked. And there's only 2 ways in. Great Ocean Road. Or you have to cut through the Otways.
Yeah.
Which basically, it sounds good on the map. But when you cut through the Otways, you're going up a mountain.
Yeah.
Zigzagging.
Yeah.
And then you're going down the mountain, zigzagging.
Mm-hmm.
So it's shorter. But it is a very, very intense time.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already done that when we went to Apollo Bay. And I was like, I'm not doing this again. And
Yeah.
just the passenger driving and the
Yeah.
bickering and shit. I was like, I can't do this. So I decided to go on the Great Ocean Road, which is a little less windy, but as you know, it's windy. But the only downside is if you look left, you're in the ocean. And like, I don't know, like, because Steph's not the most confident driver, like, you know the suggested speeds?
Yeah.
So they're not like you have to do these.
Do you know what they mean?
I assumed that that's the safest way to take the corner.
So it gives you, it's based on having, is it 2 or 5 seconds, Dad? Do you remember? I think it gives you 2 seconds of vision.
Yeah.
5?
Okay.
So if you do that speed, you'll have 5 seconds to react to the thing that's gone the other way.
Yeah.
It's actually more for motorbikes.
Yeah. So,
trucks.
well, I said to Steph, I go, these suggested speeds are for like a bus.
Yeah.
Because we got behind a bus and I'm like, see?
Yeah.
And she's like, look, it just feels better in the passenger seat. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm fucking in an all-wheel drive fucking sports car. Like, this is not
Let
happening.
me have it.
So there was obviously a little bit of back and forth, and we had to drive home one night in the dark because we went to Lawn for dinner.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just not it. I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So then the last day we got to breakfast in Lawn and we were just going to continue on. I was like, sweet, because from the Wye River to Lawn was probably the most windy bit. And then I was like, I never have to drive this again.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a call, hey, someone's left their jeans and their charger. So I said to Steph, You go and look at all the shops here. I'll be back.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't you fucking even think about it. And I'm like, no. I said, I won't drive.
Yeah.
I said, I won't drive beyond the speed limit.
Yeah.
I didn't, but I tell you what.
But you don't need to.
You definitely would not have wanted to be a passenger doing the speed limit, like within the speed limits on that road.
Times.
It is so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it was obviously a lot of fun. Just sport mode, suspension on comfort.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a delightful drive without a passenger in the car. What's Amy like in the car?
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, there's a weird level of trust when it's like, oh, you raced.
Yeah.
So and like there's situations that I'm like, oh, and I'm like, oh, she didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like ultimate trust.
Yeah. I think Steph's apprehensions come from like other people.
Yeah.
And like obviously she's not the most confident driver because she had a few accidents, but then obviously her dad was in a very serious car accident. So
yeah. Which
which obviously altered the course of their whole life. So I can understand it.
Definitely.
Just like sometimes I'm like, I'm in control. Like I can do this. Like,
Yeah.
stop, I don't need this. I don't need this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting time.
I didn't tell you guys. I drove a worse car than our hire car at.
No way.
Yeah.
Not possible.
Yep. I did.
What?
And it reaffirmed to me that I've bought the best budget car available in Australia.
Okay.
With my i30. It's
Hit
the
me.
best.
What did you drive?
Was this bigger or smaller than the MG?
There's a little Kia.
Oh, really?
And
A little Kia. Is that the name of it?
Well, I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
It's probably a Rio.
weeks ago
So.
now.
shit
No, it's like a Rio jacked up.
Oh.
So it's like they're like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Mm.
Fuck, bro. The worst. It had done 30,000 Ks, and it felt like it had done 300.
Wow.
No power. Like, I was scared
Find the car temp.
multiple times, like turning. Like, is this actually gonna do the thing? It was fucking terrifying.
No, the turning circle was just shit.
It wasn't latest Kias?
Might be, yeah. Well, it's
Might
only
be,
done
okay.
30,000, so I imagine
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
current year.
Small
Yeah.
car with not a big turning circle means it's shit.
No, just understeer, bro.
Oh,
like, no
okay.
grip
Yeah.
at all. Like, I want to go over there. The car's like, nah.
Yeah.
Brakes were shit. No power. The gearbox was clunky. This the cruise control, didn't tell you what it was set to. Again, same as the stupid MG.
How is that a fucking thing?
And like, even Amy Googled it to be like, well, there has to be a way to turn it off.
Of course.
It's a setting. No, does not show it. No center console armrest. So funny. Every time we got in the car, both of us fell over.
Yeah.
Like, get in the car, lean on the others, just fucking fall down. Did it all weekend. Yeah, it was shit. The only thing that was good about it was Google Maps, and that's not theirs.
Yeah. It's Apple Car. They got Apple CarPlay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Most navigation systems on cars are shit.
So yeah, sorry if you own a budget Kia, but
Is it a
you
hatchback?
should have bought a Hyundai. Ish.
Be a Serato or
Show me. I think it's smaller than a Serato.
there's heaps.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's a weird looking
There's
thing.
more than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
it's all right. The shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't
So-
buy a budget Kia.
So tell me if my Maltese genes are coming out here, right? I need you to be honest.
Yes.
So we wanted to get fish and chips for lunch.
Yep.
So we decided, right, let's go down the main strip of lawn, fish and chips. Walk in the first place, and there was no one in there. It's 12 o'clock. This dude comes out. I was like, Steph, ejecto-cedo. Ejecto-cedo. Like, this is just, there's no one in here, not liking the vibes of this.
Yeah.
Let's go. So we go around the corner to like the more popular part and walk into this like bougie fucking fish and chip shop, right? So I'm like, right, this is already going to be...
Is this one opposite like where the toilet nut is in law? Like recessed a bit?
I can't
Near
remember.
the bakery? Anyway.
No, it's not that one.
Okay.
So there's a newer one.
Right.
And this is like... I just walked in there, I'm like, look, this is not going to be your typical fish and chips.
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
so we order our fish and chips. Cost a fortune. Right. It was like $3 for a dim sim.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever. And then I said, oh, Steph, like, can we have chicken salt on the chips? And he goes, oh, you just got to buy the chicken salt. And it was in a container. Like, you put the sauce in. It gets worse. Well, it doesn't get worse, but... And I was like, sorry, what? And he's like, oh, you just buy that. And I'm like, I got to buy the chicken salt. And he was like, yeah. And then Steph knew instantly because like I've just got like two tones, and I don't let my body language I don't hide that shit.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, and she was just like, Jace, shut the fuck up, like don't say anymore. And then so I was being a dickhead, and I'm like, oh, hang on, I said, well, let me try and find the one with the most in it. Is that not fucking ridiculous?
Yeah.
Chicken salt, bro.
Yeah.
Like
At a fish and chip shop, that's just
It's like what are you gonna put on it?
Yeah.
Like, is chicken salt more expensive
than normal salt?
It's that much more expensive. You have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then
it's un-Australian. It's like they're paying for sauce.
Yeah. Well, you have
fuck off with your pay
this
for
joint
sauce.
we had to pay for sauce.
Yeah.
However, so we go to the table, and there's a fucking bottle of sriracha sauce on the table, every table, a full bottle of sriracha sauce. But I have to pay for my chicken salt, and I had to pay for my tomato
sauce. Yeah,
bro. It was blowing my mind. And Steph's like, I just kept saying it. I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. And she's like, Jace, look, come on, bro. Like, she's like, I get it. It's stupid, but she's like,
let's
can we just
lunch.
eat our food. That's fucking stupid. Tell me, like, someone please confirm my behavior.
Yeah. So I want to honestly start a. Amy and I have talked about this a bit. We want to start a separate Gmail account that's us. Because every time I do something like that, I'm like, I'm going to fucking review these fuckers.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, wait, that's my business.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to set up another one so when we go to shit places, we can just like let people have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
then
not
like,
be attributed to
then they like
business.
forgot our chips. So like the saving grace for them was to give us sauce. Bro, I was fuming. I was like, oh, these chips are pretty good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe it. I was just like, this is not how, like, I get it. You need to make money and you can mark up whatever.
Yeah.
We're only going to, like, weekend places, shit's always going to be more expensive.
I think, there's a weird thing that happens in touristy areas like that.
That was, yeah. And
you either have enough places that if you're shit, you die.
Yeah.
Or there's not enough.
Yeah. And
it doesn't matter and you can do whatever you want. And they make dumb decisions like that. It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You're only there for 2 days. You're not coming back next weekend. No. And by the time you go back next time, we'll be like, well, the other place is still shit, so I'm going to have to fucking pay my $2 for chicken shop. So it's like, you've just monopolized the market and you can just run a fucking trash business.
Yeah.
And you get away with it.
I would have been happy to whinge about the potato cakes being, or the dim sims being like $3 or $4 each.
Yeah.
And just not paid for the chicken salt though, because it was such a blatant like cash grab. I'm like, man, you could have charged me $5 for a can of Coke. Like,
make your money somewhere else.
Yeah, that's it. It's so
the
blatant.
Visual interpretation or like the perception of like, no, you're just gouging me now for no reason.
Yeah, that's all it was. It's like, you're just squeezing me.
Make the chips an extra 50 cents.
Yeah. I totally agree.
Include it. Yeah. Because everyone wants chicken salt.
Bad.
It's like you make an extra $1 or $2, but your customer hates you now.
Yeah. So you could tell we're from Melbourne. So someone said that as soon as we walked in, like, you guys from Melbourne. Like, why? And they're like, you're wearing dark colours and lots of layers.
Yeah.
So they're like, you guys stand out.
You can tell,
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, is that a problem? And so then we go to this pub, and it was the only pub in so Wye River is a very small place. So don't go there if you are expecting to, go to cafes and shit like that. You got to drive the Great Ocean Road to get to those. So there's a pub and a general store that acts as a cafe. Mm-hmm. So we went to the pub because we didn't want to drive at night time, and I wanted to have a few drinks. Polished off a bowl of red. I may have polished off a bowl of red before I went to the pub.
Oh, Jesus.
So we're in the pub, and everyone from the caravan park comes to the pub.
Yeah.
It's fucking kids everywhere.
Yeah.
Place is mayhem. You've got to order at the counter, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked this dude, where are the menus? Because I couldn't find a menu. I walked in the whole joint, and he's like, oh, they're just on the bar, either side. And I said, okay, so I've just walked the bar before I come to you, and there's no menus. So I said, does that mean that they're all gone? And he's just like, oh, no, they'll be on the counter. And then he just fucking ejecto-cetoed so quickly. And he's like, oh, if they're not there, I'll be back. He just fucked off.
I'm not dealing with this problem.
Yeah, man. It was just like, I'm like, this would never happen back home.
Yeah. Again, you can't get away with it.
Nah, but it was, the pub meal was average, but
yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, because I feel like sometimes, like, because we just eat at like good places at home, it's like, it probably is okay,
Yeah.
It's just like it wasn't.
We've noticed that with our move.
Yeah.
So our local Thai was fresh chili, which is probably the best Thai you can have.
Yeah, I don't know if you can get better than that.
Yeah, like we like Bang Pop quite a lot in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
We've been there for
it's
director's
good.
night. So food there is amazing, but for like a takeaway Thai, fresh chili's like goat.
Yeah.
So then anything is not going to be as good as that. And then I think we went there once, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Chinese is okay. We went to their like charcoal chicken at like 6:15 p.m.
All gone, bro. That does my head in.
Mark, what do you mean?
Just make more.
Do you just do it for lunch?
Yeah, that's I don't understand that. It's like just cook it 2 different times.
Yeah. So that was weird. But like even it wasn't like they ran out. The thing was cleaned.
Yeah, so
like
they've decided.
Chickens.
Yeah, they've decided to close up.
Yeah. So that was super weird. But
yeah.
I
think we're just probably used to just everything available at any time.
Yeah, I think the Costellos, our weekly hang, they do a nasi goreng, which is almost identical to the nasi goreng we used to get at Jolly Miller.
Yeah,
it's an extra $10.
Yeah,
because it's like it's in a restaurant, not a cafe.
Yeah,
and it comes out in a nicer bowl. It's like it's like you're stinging me $30 for a nasi, and it's like,
can you share
it's
it?
Okay.
Is it shareable?
Nah,
it's not big enough.
Nah, but to be fair, it does have like you get 4 really good sized prawns.
Okay.
So it's like,
yeah, I feel ya.
I'd rather just have more chicken and pay less, but
yeah,
the prawns are pretty good.
I get it.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about body dysmorphia, and I've dropped a couple of disordered eating things around the last couple of weeks. So I need some affirmation that this is not disordered eating, but I feel like it is. So Steph only ever eats like half a meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so she got a chicken parma, and then I got a burger because I was obviously going to get the parma.
Half a parma.
Yeah. But the parma itself was like, it was like a big, thick chicken breast, but there was just too much breadcrumb on it, and I just wasn't having it.
Yeah.
So what I did is I scraped off all of the breadcrumbs and exposed the chicken.
Yeah.
And then I put it on my plate and just ate the chicken.
Yeah.
That's
fine.
You
I do that all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there were people looking at me who were like, "What the fuck is this dude doing?" and like Steph was just like, "This fucking dude needs protein," because I'm sitting there like, I just need to eat this for the protein.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "Whatever." He's done this like a million times.
Yeah.
But then other people were just like, "Is there something wrong with the food?" I'm just like, "Oh no, just need my 40 grams per meal
without 40 grams of fat, please."
Yeah. Oh, you guys are making me feel much better about that.
That's fine. Amy does that with hers, and it's not for the protein. It's just like sometimes it gets soggy and shit. So
Well, because I got it second.
Yeah, it's like it was just want a chicken.
Yeah, just like all the sauce had gone all mushy and shit.
Even with pizza, she'll eat like a couple of pieces of pizza and then eat the topping.
Okay.
Like just eat the meat off it because like I'm done with the dough.
Yeah.
So, which sucks for me because like I don't get to eat the rest of the pizza because you've eaten all the good bit off it.
Yeah, I don't know about that, eh?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I have no issues with that.
I feel good about that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So
it didn't negatively impact the night with your wife, therefore it's fine.
No.
Yeah.
No, it never usually does. Unless I eat too much, tell her to fuck off.
Don't touch me, I'm full.
Fuck off, I'm full. That's what I said. Oh, I'm never going to live that one down, unfortunately. It's not one of my proudest moments, I'll tell you that.
It happens.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the STCfit podcast, where we talk about all things nutrition, training, and how to live your best life. If you want some more information about coaching, our free resources, and other fitness-related content, be sure to check us out on our website at www.stcfit.com. All right, let's get to the episode. So I'm sleeping with another woman. No, I'm not. I'm sleeping with an Emma.
An Emma?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I needed to get a new pillow.
Yeah.
And the pillow's name is Emma. So now I say to Steph, all right, I'm just going to sleep with Emma. That's our little joke.
Yeah.
It's a little joke going on. So I've been... Do you snore?
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Because I'm not...
That makes me feel better.
Kind of got in shape a little bit.
Yeah. So if I snore, generally, it's because I'm too fat.
Yeah.
Or too big.
Yeah.
because there's been times where the body weight's been pretty high, and I don't know, just like big neck, squished down, snoring.
Yeah.
And I think for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, Steph's like, fuck, man, like, it's been bad. And
Really?
she's like, yeah, and she's like, you're not, I was like, fuck, man, I'm not like, I've been really conscious of like my weight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm still heavy, but I'm not like big.
Yeah.
And then anyway, so like, it's one of the things that I'm paranoid about.
Yeah.
So we talk about those things that you're like, I don't want to be the dude that snores.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not.
Yeah.
It just causes more problems. Like, I see other people's relationships, and then one person like snores too much, and like they might not be able to help it, but it's like it still causes fucking issues. They want to sleep in separate beds. I just think it's one of those things that starts to lead to issues in your relationship.
I agree. Yep.
So I've been real paranoid about it, and it's been preventing me from getting to bed because I think about and then every morning I'll wake up and be like, did I snore? Or I'll wake up and be like,
anxious about it.
No, because sometimes she'll like wake me up and shit like in the middle of the night just because I'm being too loud.
Yep.
So I said, it's my pillow. Has to be. I was certain of it. And so I went on the internet and I was like, I need the best fucking pillow.
Yep.
Of course.
Yes.
So this pillow was 9.7 out of 10, 4,800 reviews, whatever. No, I don't work for them. No, I don't get a discount code.
Hashtag sponsor.
And what was more comforting, which is why I want to talk about in the other podcast, is they were like, you can try this pillow for 100 days.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, not only will we take it back, but it'll also be free delivery.
Yeah.
So that's a big fucking call.
Yeah, so they'll pay.
Yeah, so they're like, we'll pay to take it off you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it kind of annoys me when you take shit back and you got to pay to send it back. Like that kind of irks me a tiny bit. But I was like, fuck, man, 100 days.
Yeah.
Like, you're pretty confident.
Yep.
Right? And I think if you back your product that well, it's like, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I got it. And I'm 2 from 2. No snoring.
Hey.
Yeah, but I've got to keep Mav off my pillow. I said to Mav, I go, oh, look at our pillow, bro. Like, you happy with this one? And he's like sniffing and shit. And I'm like, you stay the fuck off that pillow. And then like, I went downstairs and like, I'm at the gym and then Steph sends me a picture and he's sleeping on my pillow.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't change that.
No.
We had a similar experience. Going to show my pretentiousness now.
Okay.
So we had like high thread count cotton sheets.
Yeah.
So like cold to touch. Particularly because our heating shit itself, as we talked about on the other podcast, I have no central heating in my house at the moment. Getting in every
like
night,
the coldest place in Victoria.
Getting into bed every night was like both of us would like yelp, like fuck, it's so cold in here. So we're like, all right, we bought they're called jersey sheets. So they're not quite flannelette. They're a bit more stretchy and breathe a bit better than flannelette, but they're similar kind of feel.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, cool, no worries. And then I like wasn't really paying attention. Made the trek into Water Gardens, and we're standing in Big W looking at sheets. I'm like, what are we doing here? It's like, what do you mean? Like, why are we... Like, these are the shittest sheets. We spend like 8 hours a day, 9 hours a day in our bed.
Yeah.
Why are we getting the shittest ones? So then we went to 6 different stores to find the right feel, the right touch, the right design.
Fuck, I would not do that.
Everything. So we did everything inside Water Gardens, and then across from Water Gardens, all the bedding stores. We did all of them.
Oh,
and then
that's
like
painful.
I think like $250 later, with the end of financial year 30% discount, we left Harvey Norman, and I was like, they look all right. They look pretty good.
Yeah,
bro,
the best.
Fuck, so good.
Yeah,
so good.
I'm too much of a tight ass.
Not too hot. Not like I've been waking up. So what happens, the issue I have, when it's cold in the room, I bury myself.
Yeah.
Then my core temperature's hot. So I get too hot under the blanket and then I sweat.
Yeah.
So it's actually worse for me in a cold room than a hot room.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, because you can just
hide from the cold.
Pull the sheets off and you're good.
Correct. These ones, room temperature is still the same and delightful.
Interesting.
So Jersey sheets, guys. Recommend.
Another sponsor.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a type of material. I don't know if they can.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a brand. Sorry. As you can see, I know a lot about sheets. Steph always goes, "Oh, which ones do you like?" I go, "The fucking cheap ones."
Yeah. No, don't do that.
Our dogs fuck shit up. Our dogs ruin everything.
And that was like so we bought a white Duna cover.
Yeah,
We've never owned anything white. For those that don't know, I have a blue heeler who has both blue hair and white
multicolored hair.
You cannot win anyway. She's like, "Oh, we're gonna have to keep Indy off this," and I just was like, just looked at her and was like, "Lol." Like,
yeah, we lasted like 3 nights in our new house. Like, there'll be no dogs on the bed, and then Steph was like, "Oh, please," and I'm like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, all right."
We have steps at the end of our bed because Indy can't. The new bed frame's too high, and the runoff area, the runway. For her to jump is too short at the new house, and she can't get enough momentum to get up, and she's blind now. So, like, it's just chaos. So what she does is walk around the room and, like, pat her claws on the carpet. Yeah. If that doesn't work, she walks near the wall and smacks her tail on it.
Oh, so you put her on there?
I was having to pick her up and put her on the bed. So I bought her some
Claire's
steps.
got no chill. She just fucking hits you. She'll walk up to you and just start hitting you. She doesn't, but she can jump on the bed.
Yeah.
But she just like, nah, I'm not doing that tonight. Yeah. She just fucking starts belting you. Like, hey, get me on the bed.
Yeah. You bought a ramp, didn't you?
Yeah, but it
didn't work.
It goes up too quickly.
Yeah.
So for a big dog,
yeah,
it's like her whole body's on the ramp, but it's way too high.
So I had that issue with the steps initially, but I think it was more a vision thing because it was dark. Yeah. Indy didn't trust it, so I had to hold them because they would wobble on her. So once I held them a few times, she was like, "All right, these are safe."
Yeah.
And now she does it.
Claire's jumping on the bed now.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. I feel like she just like just seeing what we can get away with. Yeah. It's like I was carrying her up and down the stairs at the start, and now she's just like, "No, I've got this.
I'm fine."
Yeah. Very, very high maintenance dog.
Yeah.
Yep. So I've got another. So I am increasing my vocabulary.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, so Steph and I are gonna. There's a couple of things we've adopted. So we're doing a word of the day.
Yep.
So no, I didn't get the idea from Andrew Tate, but he does it too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's how you drops all those big words.
Top G.
Yeah, he said that he just reads the dictionary and shit, and then just like uses them in a sentence. People are like, "Wow, you're really smart."
Yeah.
It's just like, sure.
Thanks.
But anyway, so I'm not doing it because of that. But yeah, I just thought it was like a fun activity to do together and a way of expanding my vocabulary. Mm-hmm. So we're every day we use. Well, we were undecided on like whether we go one word a week and try and use it as much as possible.
Yeah.
Or if we just learn a word every day, because I think it was like 2 days ago, Steph was like, "Oh, what's the word from the other day?" And I was like, so then we had to go back and kind of look at it. But it's actually a pretty fun activity.
I feel like a week would be more applicable to making its way into your everyday vocab.
Yeah, I think we have to.
But a day is more fun.
To do that, you got to select a word that you're going to be able to use. Because like, I was just rambling off words last night. Like, so there's a page on. So for those people that don't want to download an app and get annoyed every day, on like, paying for some fucking vocabulary thing. What's it called? Hold please. So vocabulary.daily.words. Mm-hmm. So it basically does it for you. So today, the word of the day is wowzers. I can't believe I'm actually disappointed. Or not disappointed.
I don't even. The word was going to be wowzers.
No, I don't.
I was so happy.
I'm terrified to actually pronounce this word. It's called allegorical.
Yeah.
So
sounds correct.
So containing allegory. That's what it means. Anyway, so the last couple of words that we've looked at, it's like we wouldn't like use them.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't use them in the week. But it's been a pretty cool activity because like we kind of just walk around the house now like I am a denizen of this home.
Yeah, yeah.
Like just use shit like that. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then our other activities, Steph got a bunch of books. So it's funny like how I was like ragging on the affirmation thing.
Yeah.
I was just ragging on like, speaking to yourself like in positive ways. So Steph got a bunch of books, which are actually really cool. So some of them are like quotes, some of them are like affirmations in like different themes. So one's about love, one's about relationships, one's about life. And they're all these different books. And you can basically just like flick a page and you can just read it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it like will talk about something.
Yep.
Which is actually really cool. Because yesterday I was, probably not in a great mental state for a short moment of time just because I was a bit stressed about some stuff with work. Mm-hmm. And then I just like flipped open this page and it was just like every time things have been tough, you've gotten through it. You've gotten through something that's way harder than it is right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just in your head, like, just remember all of these other times that things have been tough. Like, and I was just like, wow.
That stuff does work.
I was like, that's kind of fucking cool.
Tune in next week for Jason's journaling prompt guide.
No, it'll be, what did the girl say? Someone said something about, like, just like signing up to my positive affirmations, like, workshop.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like yelling shit at people. But yeah, and then so we're alternating. So Steph will send me one thing, and then we either read it together or, we'll like send it to each other if we're not there. So we're trying to go, like every other day kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's been pretty fun so far.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. The word one's interesting. We actually had a really interesting conversation last night. We started watching a Russell Brand podcast.
Yeah.
And I was just like, so Amy likes him. And I'm like, I don't know what it is about him. I don't trust him.
I like Russell Brand.
I don't know why.
Yeah, okay.
His new, like, I'm now the spiritual.
Yeah.
I'm like, sure. But you've still got 10 million YouTube subscribers. So it's all like, I used to pursue fame, and I used to pursue materialisticness, and I used to pursue money, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like...
Well, that's the Russell Brand I know, so I'm not mad at this new Russell Brand.
So now he's like, I'm healed.
Yeah, okay.
And this is what's important, and blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Do you feel like those people, because they're so, like, famous, and they just, like, have everything, that they have to, like, go to the spiritual side to start not making shit up, but, like...
I think it's part of, like, aging anyway. It's really interesting. I was laughing yesterday at my social media, like going through my stories. Being 33 and training people from like, I think my youngest client's maybe 23 through to like 40. There's a really broad spectrum of people that I follow on the internet, and a lot of people are like figuring life out at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, we were talking about like, how do we go about making friends? And there's lots of weird stuff that's happening at the moment. So there's like people that have recently found religion. There's people that have recently found like the more, call it modern spirituality stuff. And it's like, you used to post nudes and now you post like, God is this. Yeah. It's like, that was a big change.
Yeah.
But then you still have same age group still basically posting nudes. You just like, the fucking range that is going on here is wild of where people are in stages
on
of
social
their life.
media. Oh yeah,
yeah.
Nuts.
And then it's like other people. It's like you only see their children. I'm like, where's you? Do you still exist, or is it only that? That always makes me a little bit sad. But it's just identifying like where at that time.
Tell who's single and who's not.
Well, that's a big part of it for sure.
No matter how old they are.
Yeah. So there's a big like transition time. So I think as you become more successful, and maybe most of the people that I think that are those big names, that are those big voices, most of the people, at least I watch, maybe I watch them because they're ahead of me, are like in their 40s.
Yeah.
Late 30s, early 40s, unless they dominated really young.
Yeah.
So I think it's a natural progression of maturity to start to think, and Brand actually talked about it, you start to think of like in a spiritual thing, in that there is more than the individual. There's community, there's whatever, like I need to plug into something.
Yeah.
Especially when you've already won.
Yeah.
So, and the thing that I find strange about Russell Brand is like, it was on Diary of a CEO, and I've watched heaps of those.
Yeah.
And he actually said every single person that's successful that's come on here, they write books and everyone talks about how driven they were. They weren't driven, they were dragged. They were dragged by insecurity, they were dragged by feelings of inferiority, they were dragged by status seeking, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, we've all experienced that in our 20s. So it's like, when you make it, you're like, oh, that stuff actually doesn't matter anymore. But they're all still killers.
Yeah.
And I think what gets me with Brand is like, I'm not worried about being a killer anymore. It's like, motherfucker, I know how much money your YouTube channel makes.
Yeah.
I know how much you're making from being on this podcast right now.
Yeah, but it's like, and even then it's like, but you were a killer to make it, and it's like once you make it, it's okay. It's like when Arnold was just like, I don't want to do bodybuilding anymore. Yeah, it's just like, you didn't want to do it because you clocked it, bro. Like, it's like, yeah. It's like it's easy for someone to sit there on the other side and be like, oh, like we talk about all the time. It's like good-looking people say like good looks don't matter. It's like, but that's fucking because you're good-looking and you know. Yeah. It's like, like if you're rich, it's like, money isn't everything. It's like. Yeah,
not once you have it all.
Yeah, well, it's helps. Like, look, it's not everything, but it's like, fuck, when you have it, like, you sit there and you're like, you can say that because you're like, I can do anything that I fucking want. Yeah. So I just don't.
Yeah, I find that distrustful. I'm like, you're still seeking fame. You're just talking about a more wholesome topic.
Yeah, it's just a different area.
Yeah. So anyway, the reason I was talking about him is the way he uses language to sound impressive. Yeah. So his message at the moment is like, I want to speak to all the broken people that, like I was, that had to try and find fame and drugs and addiction.
Yeah, I was just about to say, he was an addict, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, well, I want to help those people. I'm like, dude, a smackhead has no idea what the fuck you just said. I'm sorry. They just don't. I'm barely hanging on.
He's a very well spoken. Like, he's got a very big vocabulary. Like, even like from previous time, like, he's been very well spoken.
Yeah, and he uses it as a flex.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I don't like when he does. I don't know if you've noticed when he speaks, he does this like almost like rap freestyle.
Nah,
and it's like you've written that down before.
That's premeditated. Yeah. That makes you think that like it's not.
And sometimes it's like he gets asked a question and he kind of dances a little bit to try and find a little bit of context, and then he'll goes, there's my in, and then he'll say something super illuminating and impressive and put a cadence to it almost like a rap, and you're like, you just tried to get there. I see what you did. I think it's a weird sort of place where we're so used to just conversations like this.
Yeah, I think the more you speak, the more important it is to have an open vocabulary. Yeah. That's the reason why I'm doing it. It's just like I talk so much to a camera. I talk so much in here. Yeah. It's like it'd be nice to just expand my my toolbox of like words and be able to apply them to situations and topics and stuff.
Then the challenging part is like you have Hormozy come out and say like write everything to a 5th grade level. Yeah. And it's like
No, I definitely.
Yeah, because I'm the same. I just use reading for that. I found my vocabulary and my articulation has improved since I started reading.
I actually looked up a Kindle the other day. So it's next on my purchase list for my business.
Man, I'm just gonna flood your inbox with books to read.
Have you got which one do you have? Like,
not the best one.
I was gonna say because like I'm, you know what I'm like.
So I was the same.
Do you have the Note one? It's like
maybe
there's one that's like it said it was
the
like
second best one.
The best, it was like best value for money.
It's better than the best one.
Yeah, right.
Because it's newer.
Ooh.
What? So the top of the range has been out for ages. It's heavy. It's got a glass screen.
Got it.
So it performs a little bit better, but the features in it you actually don't. Yeah. Some of them are.
It's not as nice.
Yeah, battery life doesn't last as long, and a few other bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
So I've got the second. Maybe it's the Note, and there's two versions of the Note. So I've got the best of the Note.
Well, that's the one I've been
Wi-Fi.
told. That's the one where my researchers suggested to get.
Yeah, I concur.
It was the first time the most expensive one wasn't the one to be recommended.
Yeah.
So
I was the same because I was like, no, the expensive one's got to be better.
Yeah,
and I was going to buy 2 of them, so it was like a big extra spend, and I was like, it has less memory, the battery doesn't last as long, and it's a glass screen.
Yeah, okay.
I'm out.
Yeah, because I said to Steph, like, the friction to me reading is the books. Like, having the books. But she's the opposite. She's like, I love books. And she does. Like, she's got heaps of books.
Yeah.
And I buy her books.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, just good gifts to give someone who likes books. And she wants to have, like, a library at the house. And I'm not against it.
Yeah.
But I know my own friction to the books is, like, getting the book, storing the book.
I have both of those problems.
Yeah.
I would much rather read on my Kindle.
Yeah.
But we have a bookshelf and I want to have them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I buy it twice?
Yeah, you almost just want to buy the books to like, just have the flex
it's
when
like,
people...
I've read it. Even though the pages have never been turned, I've read it.
It looks very aesthetic. Having a library looks very aesthetic. Like, I'd love to have one upstairs. I will probably do it one day.
Yeah.
Just add it to the endless list of things to do at my house.
Yeah.
That I haven't started yet.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? So before we move on, just wanted to make sure you guys know about our free resources on the website. So go to www.stcfit.com/resources and take advantage of our free body transformation guide, our SBD guide, and our body transformation quiz. Should we talk something productive about training? How long have we been going, Tam? I feel like the banter is just
clocking 45.
45?
15 minutes to talk about important shit.
No, we clocked it. We've clocked the banter section, I reckon.
Oh, no, we got heaps of time.
No, we got
Still
heaps.
got an hour.
Oh,
Strap
yeah?
yourselves in, guys.
Yeah, so it's training week. Training week on our... So what I did is I kind of put the approach and the training part together in the particular campaign, because I was like...
Most people don't want to learn programming.
Well, it's not even just that. It's just like, you know, when you talk about like your training and like maximizing your, I guess, like time inside the gym, we can't really kind of talk too much outside of just like learning the techniques and like how to kind of position yourselves. Like you can't really talk about that. It's kind of like showing and stuff like that. But really, like when we talk about the training element of our pillar, it's like we want you guys walking in the gym, having that total confidence that you know exactly what you need to do, and that everything that you do inside the gym is tailored to yourself and the goals that you've kind of outlined for yourself. We want you guys maximizing your time and your effort.
Yep.
Because there's so many people that go into the gym and they have the best intentions and work ethic and showing up isn't the problem. It's just like it's spread across so many things that just don't serve them.
Yeah.
When what we can do is just bring the walls in and just like create a little bit of tunnel vision for them and go, cool. These are the 5 workouts that you need to do.
Yeah.
This is the exercise sequence. Have at it.
Yeah.
You know, and then inside the gym itself, obviously we want to make sure when you are performing these movements that you're maximizing your results. You're training hard. You know, we're loading what we're supposed to and getting the most out of those particular things. That's going to be something that is consistently refined, though.
Yeah.
Like you never really walk into. Do you ever walk into the gym and you're just like, I've completed it, mate? Like you know what I mean? Like you get under a squat, and you're just like, I don't need to review my technique because I know it's good.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know about you, but I never have that mentality. Like I always think that like I need to review what's going on because as we get, you know, more stronger, as the weights go up, all of those things expose different weaknesses.
Yep.
And those things are going to come up when you review your lifts and stuff. And if you have a coach in face-to-face, it's fine. If you don't, it's all good. Like that's where we review our lifts and stuff via video.
Yeah.
Those things, I think it's a really important thing to have, like that you've never completely nailed.
Figured it all out.
Yeah, you've never completely nailed the technique.
I think in particular with those big lifts, like the reason people can make careers out of powerlifting is because just things change.
Yeah.
All the time. Your strengths become weaknesses, your weaknesses become strengths. There's always this shift of fluidity of how good you are at the thing.
Yeah.
So definitely within the compound lifts. And then anything that you haven't done for a while as well is just like, it amazes me that I'm like, I'm well trained, and I do something, I'm like, bleh.
Yeah. Like we talked about, you know, what it'd be like for me to get under a barbell, like to squat.
Yeah.
It's like I can squat.
Yeah.
But I know that first, you know, 1 to 2, possibly 3 sessions.
Yeah.
That's going to be, you know, pretty nasty.
Even 6 weeks before it's automated, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, until you just like
not training skill anymore.
I can actually train hard now.
Yeah. And that's one of the things.
Which is wild for someone that's trained for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why I feel like in my space, in my attention span across social media at the moment, there's 2 things that are really screaming out to me. Is we're going through this whole effort thing again, talking about, because, you know, there's new research come out for Rep and Reserve and whatever. And I feel like there's always going to be this debate about like, you know, how useful is scaling somebody's effort in their training.
Yeah.
And then the other one, it just slipped my mind. So we got effort, and I can't believe it literally just creeped out of my mind. Anyway, we'll go in on the effort thing for now.
So I actually had a client ask me last week if we could do a resource on Rep and Reserve.
Yeah, so
that would be great to unpack.
I actually think that I'm slowly moving away from it.
Interesting.
Personally. I think, I think you need to learn what it is, and I think you need to let go of it. That's what I personally think.
Yeah.
Because I think that it becomes really good as an awareness for paying attention to how hard you're training. And I think once you know what a 0 is, there's a lot of value in that. But I think after that, especially for the body composition space that I work 99.9% in, letting go of it is going to serve a lot of people more. And even learning it, like being aware of it, but letting go of it, that's going to create way more positive benefits in the future, because I feel like people, like, no one really knows what a 0 is. So I think that, like, if you put down like a 2 or a 1, you're still going to potentially pull yourself short of that. And that's like just stimulus that you're leaving on the table. So I think it's a really valuable like concept to understand. But I know for myself, I don't walk into the gym anymore and go, I need to train till there's 1 rep left. I go, I'm going to train to lift the same amount of weight that I did last week, try and get at least a rep more. Or I'm going to try and lift more weight. And then get within the rep range again. And then I just do that until I can't do it anymore. And then after that, I go, okay, let's peel it back. First week of the program, maybe stop a couple reps short, get some momentum, blah, 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 and then go again. So I kind of I'm sitting, and this is why this is the first time I've literally spoken about it. It's like, I don't know where I sit with it at the moment. I see benefit for some people, and then I see disservice to others.
Yeah. So I think I agree from a physique outcome standpoint, because the majority of what you're doing is... actually, let me term that differently. I agree from a high prescription for hypertrophy. I think that it's just like, once you've found intensity, you just keep intensity. And I think some people will naturally gravitate towards failure more than others. The people who gravitate towards failure probably just do less, have slightly different exercise selection overall than the people who train a little bit back from that, will need to do more work to provide the same stimulus. And once you figure that out, like you said, you're probably in a sweet spot and you're good to go. Where I think it's most useful, and it'd be interesting, because I know your angle is coming from the hypertrophy world, where people are kind of maybe pushing back on hypertrophy. If you're looking at a more performance-based outcome, one of those metrics being strength. Strength in isolation. I talk about, when we do our programming module, I talk about the different intentions that you have for different lifts. So do you have an intention of skill? Do you have an intention of strength? Do you have an intention of function? Or do you have an intention of hypertrophy? They're the 4 that I would focus on. So Katie's question was actually great. She was like, why do different types of lifts seem to have different rep and reserves? It's like, well, if you are training for skill, I want every rep to be perfect.
Correct.
And if you're training a highly complex exercise that has an increased risk to reward ratio, I'd rather you err on the side of caution. So you're probably going to have 2 or 3 rep and reserve more often than not on your squats, deadlifts, and bench press. Because if it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
I agree.
And it's unnecessary. And when I train competitors, it's like, what you do on the platform is going to be the average of what you do in the gym. Yes, you need to send it at times because you need to feel what that's like and where you fuck that up and what actually happens under that kind of load. But most of the time, you're there to be good at the thing. Being good at the thing sub-maximally carries over pretty well most of the time, maximally. So I'm always holding those lifts back a little bit. Function makes no sense. You're not training that. People will be like, oh, it's just this. I'm not feeling this. I'm like, you're not supposed to. You're not supposed to leave with a glute pump from a single leg RDL. You're supposed to be able to stand on one leg.
You're supposed to be able to do the thing.
And control your body in space. And, even carry over to like controlling upper body positioning, blah, 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 blah. It's like, we're not fucking growing a muscle with that exercise.
It's not a movement that you're really going to stimulate and isolate. And
so arguably the RIR in that is totally irrelevant, but you just write 4 because it's like, it's easy.
It's like,
It's just a perception that it's easy.
I understand.
And then for the squat and the deadlift, it's like, don't die. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
ultimately,
2 or 3 is like, don't die. What else was the other one? I said strength. So strength outcome.
Strength,
So
strength hypertrophy.
Strength is like, it's an interesting one because it's almost, it can be in either. It's like I can program a squat for strength and we start to get into that like expression zone. It's like I want you to do whatever you can to lift the most amount of weight
100%.
within the rules of the lift, obviously,
Yeah.
An appropriate range of motion, etc. If you're on a leg press and my intent is strength, you can, and this is where exercise selection maybe affects more than exercise intent, is your ability to take it further without compromise.
Yeah.
So if you're on a leg press, you can go to 1 rep and reserve 0, probably not 0, because that's going to be a bit sketchy, but you can get close.
You could fucking send it.
Yeah. most of my
0.5 means you don't know if there was one.
Yeah, so most of my clients won't feel comfortable under a 45-degree leg press at 1. They're probably going to do 2 because I'm getting a bit scared that this is going to fall on my head.
Yeah.
Put them in a leg extension, I can write 0 to 1.
Yeah.
Because it's just like nothing bad can happen.
Yeah.
I'm just going to push this as far as I can and nothing bad's going to happen. And if I wake up tomorrow, I'm not going to be fucked up.
Yeah.
So when I write a program, typically the program's laid out in complexity of movement, which means the RIR actually gets lower throughout the whole session. It's like early on in the session, particularly like warm-up's going to be like fucking 5.
Yeah.
Super easy. Complex exercise is going to be 2 to maybe 4, depending if you've got the skill yet or not. Then we've got that mid-work that, depending on the exercise selection, could be anywhere from 3 to 1.
Yeah.
Like RDL, you can take an RDL to 1 because you just let go.
Yeah.
And you'll be okay.
Correct.
So most people are comfortable to kind of push that.
Yeah.
Then the complexity comes down, you're into machine stuff, then you're into isolation stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
get
like
after it.
just, exactly. Do more than you did last week, basically. I think that is the best application for it.
Yeah, so that's the best application of it. It's got the safety of the lifter in mind. It's still effective, and it's taking into consideration those intentions. And if you tune into our YouTube video for the week, where we talk about this pillar in depth, that's one of the benefits that I actually speak of, why it's important to have these prescriptions. Because there's always, like, it's a concept. We're always going to have this, like, there's pros to this, there's cons to this, and I think that there's going to be circumstances where it's valuable, and that is definitely one. It's like, we don't want, like, training, like, we want you guys training hard.
Yeah.
There's no if, buts, or maybes.
Hard but not stupid.
Correct. We want you guys pushing to your maximum potential in nearly almost every lift that you go into the gym, but there's going to be times where that isn't the case.
Yeah.
And we know that if we want to learn stuff, if we're applying a skill-based movement that's going to carry over to your other lifts, that can't be done with fatigue. It can't be done in a high-effort environment. There's the movement prep stuff that Ben said. I just find that in some instances, especially for like body composition and hypertrophy specifically, when you apply an RPE, not an RPE, I actually think RPE is quite effective in this instance. When you apply a rep and reserve, you are now taking out like other methodologies or other techniques to increase the amount of volume load.
Yeah.
Because, like, just use like the partial reps or like rest pauses as an example. It's like, sure, you can't like complete any more weight for the movement. It's like, can you take a rest pause and do a couple of more reps like in that last week of your program? An advanced client's going to be able to do that. Yeah. Someone who you want to teach effort and you want to teach them to train hard, they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So applying drop sets as ineffective as people, kind of say it says in the literature, it teaches you how to train hard. Yeah. It teaches you how to go to failure. So sometimes, like, I think that at the start with this lifter, that even the one that asks you the question, it's great. Like, they're probably way beyond like a beginner. They're in this advanced, like this intermediate stage at the moment. And when you get to this like more advanced space and you are maybe working exclusively outside of strength, like top end strength, maybe that rep and reserve stuff is not always gospel.
Yeah.
Because I've even had conversations with some of my guys and I'm like, look, if it says 4, it means don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Outside of that, fucking get it.
Yeah.
If you can lift more, do it.
Yeah.
And then when you get to a point where you can't lift any more, whether it's weight or reps, we will have a discussion on what that could potentially be.
Yeah.
Be it you need to look at your technique, be it you need to, have some more food, you need to apply another rest day, we need to consider the training volume. Like, I think that is a situation where we just can't like kind of be so concrete in our methodology.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, fuck, like I'm kind of moving away.
I know I use it a lot now, and it's becoming a thing. Really
Learn how to break the rules.
Know the rules so you can break them.
Yeah, that's it.
So if a client understands what rep and reserve is for, you can break the rules.
100%.
So like I have like my clients like Voldemort, Jess overshoots all the time.
Yeah.
And like it's hilarious. I've actually started training Jess's brother.
Yeah.
And he sent me a squat from last week, and he missed on his squats, and it was like the rep and reserve's like 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah, it's in the family, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Like it's not. The whole world hasn't ended. I don't need to totally change your program. You're not a fucking world-class powerlifter that one miss is going to mean you fucking lose 30 kilos on the platform. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's interesting listening to you speak, and you mentioned that RPE is actually useful. It's almost like once you've learnt RIR, you go back to RPE, but actually use it as rate of perceived exertion,
For the lift.
not inverted
rep
and reserve,
yeah,
which is what it became
100%.
in the gym. It's like, no. Did you nearly die?
Mm.
Were you a little bit off death, or was it easy?
Yeah.
And that's like 10-7.
Yeah. Okay, well, remember your perceived exertion of the lift can be nowhere near rep and
Correct.
rep and reserve. So,
Yeah, and I would say like if I gave you RPE 9 on a deadlift, versus RPE 9 on a bicep curl,
they're
your
going to be
RIR is really different.
I agree.
Because your rate of perceived exertion on the deadlift is going to be way higher than it is
way
on a
more
bicep
complicated exercise. So even that is going to alter the scaling of it.
You're way more willing to do a 10-second rep on the bicep curl than you are with a deadlift. And
Correct.
The cost of doing that, it's like, oh, fuck, that's going to feel like RPE 11.
Yeah. In a perfect world, you would almost like to have like the reps to failure RIR, they're just in bursts.
Yeah.
And then you would almost want to have a rate of perceived exertion, because the rate of perceived exertion is like think about it like we used to use prescribed rep and reserve. So that's what we want you guys to get.
Yeah.
And then you almost want to get someone to perceive the exertion on that particular lift and be like, no, this was really fucking hard.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, you kind of, that matches up.
Yeah.
You know, if it's an RR 1, this person's put it RPE 9 or whatever, it's like, all right, it was really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, we want you training really fucking hard.
Yeah.
If you put it at like an 8, it's like, okay, well, we missed the mark a bit.
Yeah.
So we've got to think about the loading of it. You know, I think it's more accurate. I think it's an accurate scale for the lifter. Like, they really don't know how many reps they have left in a lot of cases. Like, you have to be a really trained lifter. And that's why in a lot of instances, I'm making this gravitation towards like lower rep ranges.
Yep.
Because it's easier to estimate how many reps you got left. When you use higher rep ranges, it's pretty inaccurate. So you almost have to just train them till like, hey, there's no more reps left. Now you know.
Yeah.
So that's where you'll find most of the programs and the people who are listening. When I coach them, it's like it's between 5 and 15.
Yeah.
It maybe even 5 and 12.
Yeah.
And the heavy movements, those like loadable movements that are driving the most amount of mechanical tension. Well, not the most. They're the most loadable exercises, so they load up the most amount of musculature.
Yeah.
They're going to be very low rep. So like your squats, your deadlifts, you know, your variations of those, your rows, they're always going to be lower because, you know, I want that to be as accurate as possible, and I want that person to be training as hard as they can.
Yeah.
And then the other stuff that's like probably not that beneficial to do in a lower rep range, just because, you know, it's easy to just use momentum and compensate with other muscle groups. We'll go up the rep range to maybe isolate tension in those muscles because it's easier.
Yeah.
But even then, I'm not trying to train to like 15, 20 reps because you just don't know how many you have left. Like, you just get bored.
Yeah.
You know, like you just pull short because it's a cardiovascular, kind of limitation, or I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's over.
I had this weird experience yesterday that I either haven't experienced for a really long time or have never experienced, because obviously I've just been really focused on when I do accessory work, it was just to make my bench better for so long.
Yeah.
So I haven't done a block of chest flies for 6 years.
Yeah, well.
And I have them in now.
Yeah.
And my third set, it was like by my fourth rep, I felt like my chest was coming off my sternum. I was like, what the fuck is this feeling?
Yeah.
but I just could keep repping, but the pump never got any better.
Yep.
And I was like, well, what is this in terms of failure now? Like, where am I really in RPE? Where am I really in failure?
All of that stuff is different now because it feels different, and it's going to change your scale of it.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting thing, and like to, I guess, go more anecdotal at the moment because I'm experiencing such a dramatic shift. I literally don't. The last 2 weeks I haven't even touched a dumbbell, let alone a barbell.
Good life.
Fuck, bro, because it's just like I need to train quickly.
Yeah,
and the gym
effectively too.
The gym isn't really laid out well to lift heavy dumbbells. Takes longer to warm up, blah, 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 blah. So I can get on a machine, just fucking do the thing and leave.
Yeah.
But I have obviously been filming my lifts and putting up those little reels. And I was like, I watched my arm workout back and I was like, fuck, like, there's some slow-ass reps at the end of them. Like, they're, like, legit.
Yeah, it's getting close to that kind of failure point.
Yeah, and I was like, there was no consciousness around it. So I think once you get to a point where you're used to just training hard.
Yeah.
Like you said, you don't have to think about it that much.
Nah.
But it's like, I also watched a guy do put it this way, I took 2 steps towards the bench.
Yeah.
Because it took him 10 seconds to get the dumbbells up. And
that's a bit too long.
I was like, well,
tiny bit.
If I saw you do that on a chest press machine.
Yeah. How about it?
Awesome. But I'm like, what was the trade-off for what you just did?
Yeah.
Are you going to do better next week?
Yeah. Or even next set. It's like you're cooked now.
Yeah. So I was like, and next exercise.
Yeah.
He's not going to the pec flies and getting a pump. He's fucked. So it's interesting. And then the other thing that I've also been considering is like how hard you're willing to train different muscle groups.
Yep.
And I think rep and reserve sometimes can be really useful there.
Yep.
Because it's like lots of girls are real happy to go fucking hard on glutes. But when it comes to their back work, it's like, it's a bit uncomfortable.
I would be very confident in saying that reflects in the physique.
100% it does. Yeah. And it's being able to identify, like, I haven't trained my hamstrings hard for a really long time because they seem to develop when I deadlift. So I don't need to. Yep. So they're the first, the last, however long I've been training at Gisborne's, it's the first exercise that comes off the program when I'm short on time.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll skip the leg curls because my hamstrings are already too big. It's fine. And I don't train them hard. And I actually watched one of Jackson's videos. And I was like, motherfucker, I had 140 or something on for his RDLs, maybe more.
Yes.
And I was like, all right. I think last time I did RDLs was 90, 100 kilos.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe 80. Because I just hadn't done them for ages. So I'm like,
it's just training skill.
Yeah, it's like, this isn't.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck, I really need to put some work into them.
Yeah.
But I can also do glute ham raises for sets of 15 and they grow. So I'm like,
I understand.
Yeah, the trade-off is interesting. But the RIR discussion there is like, well, again, was the 80 hard or I just hadn't trained hamstrings well for a while or that exercise well for a while? So I knew as an more experienced lifter, I knew I was going to be in a world of hurt for 2 days already.
Yeah.
It's like, this is enough stimulus for me right now. Even though it's probably a 6 rep reserves, this is enough stimulus.
Yeah.
But then it's also having the ability to call yourself out and be like, no, you don't train that body part hard enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the one other thing I forgot about. What's up, guys? So before we move on, just a little bit more information for those people who are curious about coaching. Maybe they want someone to take care of their training, get a bit more specific, take it to the next level, or even just keep them accountable to all of the things that they need to do. So again, you guys can go onto the website, get a little bit more information. It's got all the information on there on what's involved to take your training to the next level. You can hit the inquiry button, and then we'll get on a strategy call and see what we can do for you. This leans into that, which is the time of the length of the program. So they're the two things that are in my social media space at the moment. Like people talking about how long a program should be and people talking about how hard they should train. They both kind of really overlap because the program's going to be easier at the start of it because you're not training to the maximum potential of your nervous system and your musculature. You're training skill.
Yeah.
So you're kind of figuring out how to. Yeah, you're kind of figuring out the movement, how to sequence it, and how to get the most out of it for that given time.
Yeah.
So this is what leans in. This is why it leans into spending more time on a program. So I've got a couple of clients that are just like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm training hard enough. I'm not sure if I'm doing this. Like that is a great thing to have in the consciousness of your mind, because that will make you a better lifter.
Yeah.
As long as you take a progressive mindset to your training, the only thing that's going to make you better is the time you spend doing those exercises.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get past the skill, like kind of land that skill component of the movement. And then you're going to push into, I'm challenging these muscles to the point where we're creating a shift in homeostasis, which is going to require my body to adapt accordingly, which is to get bigger, get stronger, whatever it is that you guys are really focusing on. There's too many people that don't spend enough time on their training program to get there. And the reason why they don't spend too much time in that space is because it's hard.
Yeah.
And because they don't see
rewarding.
this. Yeah, well, they don't see this linear increase in strength and stuff. And if you look at like most lifters that are like big, strong, like these people that we like look up to and stuff, they're not really changing their program too much.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of keeping it pretty straightforward. It's like train hard, train heavy, pick the movements you like that feel comfortable, that give you sufficient range of motion for the muscles, and just train them till you can't lift anymore.
Yeah.
You know, really.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to learn the movement, and you can't learn a movement and be proficient at it whilst adding in excessive amounts of fatigue.
Yeah.
So there is a spectrum of like adopting and scaling your effort and understand and prescribing it so you become a better lifter.
Yeah.
And then after that, when you get into this like, oh, I don't really know how valuable it is because I don't know how much I have left, you're probably in a situation now where outside of your skill-based exercises, get after it.
Yeah.
Providing that it's not a movement where like if you train to failure, you could significantly hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's why bodybuilders, sorry to cut you off, I think that's why bodybuilders really kind of gravitate towards machine-based exercises, even for their heavy stuff. Because if I do a Smith machine squat, I've got so many different levels to rack that bar.
Yeah, the safety elements.
That I can just fucking go for it, man.
Yeah.
You know, if I've got the mental capacity to fucking just go until your quads are just like, nah, man, we physiologically cannot contract our muscles anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting, the whole idea of changing your program every 4 weeks for entertainment factor. It's like, I understand if that's what you need to continue to go to the gym, but it's faux gains. Like it's not.
Yeah.
It's
it's not the coach trying to do less work for you.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing as a coach. It's like I'll get to an end of an 8-week block and I'm like, honestly, the best thing you can do right now is this again.
Yeah, I just put it, I mean, we've spoken about this before. I really put that onus back on the client now. I'm like, hey man, like if you're still making progress and you still feel like there's gains on the table, we actually are in a really good position to keep continuing on.
Yeah.
But I totally acknowledge that if you don't want to rock up to the gym next week,
yeah,
and you can honestly tell yourself that that's the truth,
yeah,
then we will change your program.
Yeah.
But I will have to keep some of the things that we've worked on in this one and carry them over to the next one.
Yeah.
And then most of the time they're like, Coach, I'm happy to ride this out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, like I trust what you're saying. I feel like there's more room in the for me to make progress. And at the end of the day, we're really there to facilitate that. And sometimes it is really just doing the exact same thing. Like you guys see my program, it's not different. It's not wholesale. Like I'll change the frequency a little bit, like do a little bit more back, a little bit more arms, but it's the same exercises, usually like 6 to 8 reps, 6 to 10 reps. And it doesn't really change. It's just me trying to lift more, over a period of time.
I think coming back to like you made a comment earlier, like it'll reflect in your physique.
Yeah.
Whether it's performance or physique, I think if you're lying about really how hard you're training, you'll be able to see it.
Yeah.
So we've spoken about in the past, like even we've gone to train with some high level bodybuilders and even training with standout guys and all that kind of stuff. Our clients, you're like, fuck, do I train hard? Sometimes you ask that question.
Yeah.
And then you get in a room with someone who's less trained than you and you're like, oh, like, what do you mean? We've only done 3 exercises. What's wrong?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I do train hard.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. But it's that almost just becomes automatic, and then you can look at someone's performance, physique, whatever it is, and go, well, maybe you're not training hard enough at this thing.
Mm.
You don't train your glutes hard enough, you don't train your quads hard enough, or your shoulder, or whatever it is, like, you don't train that with intent.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you I haven't trained my chest outside of a bench press hard for 6 years. Why don't I have a chest?
Yeah.
Like, it's simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I haven't, like I said, I haven't done flies for forever. I haven't taken an incline dumbbell press. It's like, I'm doing this to train the shoulder after I bench pressed. So I'm better at the bench press.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think that is exposed either in performance or physique anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a good lesson. If you're in that intermediate kind of zones, like you train hard on most things, you'll be able to see where you don't train hard.
It takes a lot of time to learn that too. Like some people will have it and they'll probably come from like an athletic or a sport background. Like I remember like wanting to vomit and still having to run like 5 laps of the soccer field.
Yeah.
And doing your shuttle runs and stuff, and you have the same lactic acid burn and you have the same mental conversations in your head.
Yeah.
And that can carry over. But those people that haven't experienced that somewhere else previously, you're always going to have those like inhibitions in your mind that are going to tell you to stop.
Yeah.
Or those voices that are like, hey man, like pull back. There's a little bit of lactic acid here. Like this is feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When it comes to training in the gym, as long as you're doing it safely and you've mastered the technique sufficiently anyway, you need to push past that.
Yeah.
There is so much left on that table. It's like the red tape when you're digging before you hit the pipe.
Yeah.
It's like the red tape is like another 1.5 meters before you actually kind of break something and fuck something up. It's like your mind is telling you like, cool, we've burst through the first line of tape.
Yeah.
But there's so much left until you just completely can't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
You are constantly evolving that as you train. And the faster you get to pushing through that first line of red tape, I would argue the better the progress you'll make over your whole lifting career.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because even powerlifting is like a really good example of that. It's like most of them are big and strong, and it's like because you lift to the maximum of your potential. Mm-hmm. So it's like you carry that over to anything else and do it with just like more reps.
Yeah,
it's like it kind of makes sense, but it's just the more reps you do, the more uncomfortable it is.
Yeah, because it's just a different discomfort.
Doing 1 rep is uncomfortable, but it's not as uncomfortable as doing 6 of them to the most you can't do anymore because your body's screaming at you from the third one.
Yeah, it's a different.
Yeah, so you're just like, I'm getting
different feeling.
It's too quick. It's you probably haven't spent enough time like understanding how uncomfortable it is before you go up and down.
Yeah,
do it 6 to 10 times. It's fucking excruciating.
Yeah,
and you're so aware of it.
The 1 to 3 rep range is fear.
Yeah,
it's fear limited.
Yeah.
More than it is pain limited.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about, like
it's uncomfortable. It's just a different kind of scale.
Someone posted in our chat about like people making noise in the gym, and people are always like, "Oh, fuckwits that like grunt when they're doing like the 15 rep lateral raises." Like you're more likely to get a noise out of me on an isolation exercise that burns than you are a 250 kilo deadlift.
Yeah, because you want to keep all of the air in.
And it's just like, I'm comfortable with that, but what the fuck is happening? That hurts. Stop it.
Yeah, man.
It's a different.
Yeah. So like high rep squats or drop sets, rest pause or something, like it is painful. Yeah. But I think learning how, like spending time doing that, and that's why I'm really like I'm G to do these fucking training camps, man. And it's just like I don't want to punish people. Like I'm not there to throw ego around.
Yeah.
But I'm just there to be like, how many do you think you have left? Show me.
Yeah.
And then use the body language and use the technique that we've kind of set for the person and go, all right, you're still within the technique, keep going. You're still within the technique, keep going. And just get them to feel it.
Do you know, I'd be interested in knowing? I'm just thinking about this right now. I always, when I look at a client's lift, I look at the bar speed.
Yeah.
If there's no distortion in the last couple of reps, you didn't train hard enough.
I usually avert people's attention to that as well.
So I'm curious. We just outlined different intent, different rep and reserve.
Yeah.
I reckon your cadence slows down earlier on a heavy, complex compound lift than an isolation lift.
Yeah. Possibly.
So you'll get a distortion of the bar speed at 2 rep and reserve, even though you've got 2 more.
Yeah. As in 2 more on top of 2? Or just at 2?
So if you're at a true 2, or say you're at a true 3 rep and reserve.
Yeah.
I think you'll see some slowdown in a squat.
Yeah.
You won't in a dumbbell curl.
Yeah, okay.
At least for me, like those isolation movements tend to just stop working.
I don't know. We'd have to test it.
I'd be really curious to look at that.
Yeah. The hardest part is like the rules aren't set.
Agreed. Yeah.
The rules aren't set because if you look at someone who does a true set to failure, it's like, let's just use the bicep curl, for example. It's like, are the parameters like this tempo can't change? It's like, are people kind of like letting it hang full stretch and then like kind of having a pause and lifting it up? It's like, what are the parameters and are we allowed to break them?
Yeah. I've seen some coaches also even do like the rest pause that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And then brag that, no, this is the real RPE, the real rep and reserve 0 or RPE 10. It's like, you're just moving the definition.
Well, you're changing the rules now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like progressive overload, I just rest for longer, but it's like,
well, then
I start doing cluster sets, you know what I mean? Like it's where...
Well, that's not necessarily progressive overload either, like when you think about it. Like progressive overload is your capacity to do more because you've exposed your body to more.
Yeah.
So then it's like just doing more doesn't mean that you have experienced progressive overload because you have to have a greater capacity. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, and that's it. It's like, oh, well, last week I did 100 kilos, and I rested for 5 seconds on my last, so I could get 2 more.
Yeah.
This week I did 102.5, but I rested for 15 seconds so I could get 2 more.
Yeah,
it's like, did you really progress?
It's the time that you're just altering now.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like adding more sets and making your training session longer. It's like, really, is that progressive overload? I would argue it's not because you're just being able to work out for longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still going to, I'm not arguing that it's not going to translate to
drive more stimulus.
Maybe better results and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, obviously it's semantics and stuff and like you can talk about it all day, but it's like, yeah, that's where trying to definitively quantify these things and play in this space like starts to get really tricky, which is why we don't really kind of lean into it too much. It's just like, fuck, lift more reps, more weight. Yeah. When it gets to a point where you can't, let's have a look at why that's happening. Yeah. And then if we hit a plateau and you potentially still have the capacity to do more, we've got a couple of things to work with. Yeah. But we're not going to label them anything because we don't care. It's like, we just want you to get results. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
You know, I just want you to be bigger, stronger, or leaner. I don't really care like what I use to do that as long as it's safe and you understand how to do it.
Yeah. Don't get attached to any of it.
No. But
don't be attached to load prescription, to RPE, to, and this is more speaking to coaches probably, but like, don't be attached to any of those.
Yeah. They're really valuable, but there'll be a point
when they're valuable.
Yeah, there'll be a point where they're not. And I think it's important or there might be a point to use another one. Yeah. Like we just spoke about, maybe it's valuable to go from RAR to RPE, whatever. Yeah. But yeah.
Hopefully we answered enough questions and as many as we created new ones.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I probably will do a resource on like the effort scale and stuff. I put it in the
app.
It's in the app and like understanding your training app, but it's not enough. Like it's just like what it is. It's not like an in-depth conversation about it.
Yeah. We should have every pillar in there, which we'll build for you guys eventually.
Yeah. Well, it'll be in there after I finish all these videos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez, get us going about training. Maybe if we talk about training, we'll talk about less banter. We'll do less banter.
Yeah. Yeah. Open. That's why last week on Learn, I was like, let's start with the topic and then
make the timestamp real big on this one, Ted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure people like to listen to us talk shit, but like for those that don't, just go straight here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
That was quality.
Yeah, it was really good. All right. Well, like, share, sub, do the thing. We can follow on Spotify now. Is that?
Yeah.
So if you guys are listening from Spotify, hit the follow or the sub button. Give us some feedback on the videos on Spotify too, because now we've made that change.
Fancy as fuck, boy.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.